Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Bookmap live trading webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap, and we go through the live analysis here Monday, Tuesday, Friday at 10 a.m. We have live trading with Jay Trader tomorrow, Wednesday, and then Scott Pulsini Thursday. Let's jump right into the order flow here and check out and see what's going on. We're looking at the S&P E-mini. Very jumbled at the moment, as you can see the overnight session here and the cash open, and we can see it in a tight range here, or a rather tight range, about 15 points or so. So we need to kind of ascertain if where we might get some sort of direction out of this, and really not seeing much here at the moment. It's really bashing back and forth here. We see buyers come in, sellers come in, buyers come in, sellers coming in. Looks like sellers are going to go for this 85 level. There they go. All right, now if they did that, they should be able to make it down to 80 as well. Looking for a lot of stops here actually now, since we do have some follow through at the moment, and let's see if we can get back down there, and maybe some continuation. Let's see if we can get maybe a trend out of this, since it's been in a pretty tight, or rather tight range for today. All right, so anyway, that would be scenario number one. We're getting a small pullback at the moment, scenario number two, got to cover that. If this is a false breakdown, well, this is the area to look at. Okay, we always look for this where there's going to be trapped sellers, and then the stop run or squeeze to the upside. All right, so we'll look for that scenario as well. Anyway, wanted to reach out and ask you guys, so first off, what would you like me to take a look at today? Any stocks in particular, or any futures markets, or we can also look at crypto. Okay, we do have Bitcoin up as well, and for Binance futures here. Aloha, good morning, Crypto Surfer. Okay, Phil, you want Apple, NVIDIA, Amazon, and Tesla. I don't have Tesla, that's the only one here, so let's get that up. Get rid of these as well. I have BABA, but I'm gonna close that, and we'll add Tesla. All right. Okay, Tom. AMC always. You guys love your meme stocks. We'll put that up. All right. You're welcome. Okay, you want to look at the ultra bonds. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll take a look right now. I'm having some kind of some data issues here, so let's hold off for now, if you don't mind, but we can look into it a little bit later. And let's see over in Discord. Good morning, everybody. And let's take a quick look here and see what's going on. All right. You should be able to hear me in here. Can everyone hear me in Discord there? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Looks like you guys couldn't hear me in Discord. You should be able to hear me now. Yep, sorry about that. Okay, all good to go. I was just asking if you guys want me to take a look at anything. Typically we're looking at the S&P E-mini, but we want to open up here to a lot more. Also just wanted to kind of pose a question to you guys out there, just in general. I'm just very curious, who's bearish in here, or who's bullish? just if you could type in the chat there. I'm just really curious to just get a kind of overall feel here, especially you guys in YouTube. You can see our scenario 2 is kind of what's playing out right now. Major Tom, you want to be bearish, but neither today, Phil. Yeah, it's inside day at the moment, but I think Major Tom, you were asking me yesterday about, let's take a look at the bigger picture. And also, guys, I want to go through the risk disclosure here quickly. So hold on just a minute here. So we're all on the same page here. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's see. It looks like most people in here using caution, but on the bullish side. Getting harder to be bearish. Okay. All right, so looking for pullback around up to and through the 4,300 to 4,330, Tom, or Tom's thumb. Okay. All right, so it's kind of wishy-washy kind of, and the market is that way. We're looking on the bearish side, but you know, can't deny that we're been in a very powerful uptrend. And you can even see that this move here, in this move to the downside here, was just a quick, stop run and liquidity grab, and a move right back up into the middle. Yeah, and this totally failed. Now, even this little setup here that we outlined here, I mean, we can go through the mechanics of this in here, but let's just take a look at it. I mean, the mechanics are good. I mean, it's doing kind of exactly what we kind of outlined here. However, do we see a lot of buyers in here? And we don't, right? We don't. We just simply don't. So we're coming right back to it. And we're looking for sellers to try to press back into outside of this this range here. Okay, so let's look for it. I am looking for it here, and sellers to push down into 87, 86, and then the lows here around 84-ish or so. Okay, so here they come, just starting right now, and looking for it to continue here. We're just not seeing a lot of buyers come in now. Had this picture been different, had we seen a lot of buyers in here, and why I'm going through this is just to understand these scenarios. When we go through these scenarios, it's all about context. So if we had big green dots in here, that would be a different story, right? And we would look for that to continue on up to somewhere up in here, or 96 up in here, top of the range. Okay, so we didn't get it. Now we still may, they may come in right now, but we can see that it's just this pivot line is kind of critical in here, somewhere around in here. It's kind of a zone between 87 and 89, we did get some sellers that came in here, and even this selling in here is really not that strong. Okay, so this becomes the pivot if we can get buyers back up above it here, and we're starting to. Okay, so and again, is this anything high probability that we're looking for that really tells us that traders are moving the market? And it just isn't. It just isn't. All right, so when we don't see something that tells us something, we're actually kind of looking for more range bound activity in that at that point. Okay, so maybe a retest back down into here, 87 or so, or at least back into our 89 line here. Okay, so now these are not trade recommendations. It's just kind of what we're viewing in the order flow, and what this is. What are the condition of the orders telling us? Okay, so this is looking a little bit better, but it's still not a whole lot of volume on the buy side. All right, and what about the order book? What does the order book tell us? We're balanced. We're between this 94.25 to 90, and we're just kind of in the middle there. Okay, now we're getting a little bit of an imbalance. Okay, and here comes some buying. Okay, not bad. All right, so I could press on up into our top of the range here, 96. Okay, so anyway, nothing really too interesting here at the moment. There's a lot of stops in here as well. Okay, so we do get some support here on the bid. We are getting buyers here. Yeah, I mean, we would go with the move up into 96 here, more or less order flow wise. You know, that's it's again nothing really too much here, but to look at. But that would be the kind of move we kind of anticipate here. Really big move. It would be, you know, you can see the cash open in here, so this bouncing around. And if we can get back up into this 96 level with a lot of buying, then we have the potential to break away from this area in here. All right, so kind of looking for that. Okay, pull back. Now let's read a little bit in here what's happening. Did they stay in the order book? Yeah, they did here at 92.5. A little bit here at 92. Okay, so it's just a pullback. Let's see if we can get back up into 93.25 here. They should pull and try to get up to 94. Okay, they did pull. There they go. And there's our buyers. Okay, let's see if they can now push it to 96 here. That's originally what we were looking for here. We just had a pullback in the meanwhile. Let's see here. A couple of questions in here said it was a bearish day. Yeah, it was an awesome August for the bulls, especially end of the beginning of the month there. No question about it. Well, even July. July was fantastic. Yeah, Marcos, 15 point range. Yep, and that's where we are again here today. So we're, you know, trying to get some insight when that might break, and you know, we're looking for it here. Like maybe it's starting right now, right? This was the original move we're looking for, but see the volume starting to pick up. But we're looking for a move back up to 96 right now, and that's it. And we'll check out the order flow once we get back up there, if we get back up there. But that would be the, you know, overall look here, and see what might unfold up here. Okay, because this is going to be a critical area for today, of course. Karam, there is no time frame here in Bookmap. It's just pure price action. All right, and this is actually a benefit or a good thing. Yeah, see how choppy it is here. Sellers are just trying to rip it right back down here. And the selling picked up here, and you know, here's our, you know, trying to read the order flow and the reference in here. See how there's a lot more selling now. Well, this is telling us something too. Okay, so the traders are moving it away from this area pretty quickly. Now we'd have to see a whole lot more buying come back in to counter that, to get back up into that 96 now. So it's not looking too good for getting up into 96 at this point. I mean, and it's not a contradiction. It's just look at the trading that picked up here. You know, at this point here, in reference to all the rest of the trading, it looks pretty good up into 96. And then look at the selling now, and look at the reference here. Look at the size of the dots and the color. All right, so we have to go with the flow here. Okay, and we're back down into and below this level here. So sellers trying to take control here, okay, with this move. Okay, and now we're just down at the bottom of the range here, or bottom of the swing. So anyway, when we zoom in and out, Karam, you can see the there's 15 minutes here between each vertical dotted line. If I zoom out more, it'll be half an hour. Okay, so you know, you can put a candlestick chart on here if you like, but basically there is no time frame. There's no aggregation of data like in a bar, and that's a real benefit here. It's one of the first things. It's showing way more than aggregation or bar data, because you're only getting 4 data points on your time frame here. Every 5 minutes, for example, open, high, low, and close is all you're getting, and you're trying to read that, and you just don't know. You don't know that there was a heavy selling in here. There was some good buying over here, heavy selling in here. You don't see any of that, right? You don't get a feel for the order flow in here. So that's the problem with looking at aggregation of data or bar data. Yeah, we can go to the settings for the volume dots here. Okay, I'm using I'm using volume delta, which is buy minus sell. That's why it's either a red dot or a green dot. And I'm using a little bit of smart clustering, and that's it. Okay, it's rather default setting here, except for the clustering. If I hit default here, you can see the size kind of went up a little bit, and this smart clustering went to the middle. Okay, this is the setting I like to use. All right. Okay, let's we're going to take a quick look around here at some of the stocks you guys wanted to take a look at. So let's we'll just go quickly through this and look at the order flow. Apple has now traded into and through the 172 level here. Okay, so the transaction did occur and there was more selling. This is our retest back up, and we would look for is this going to be a false breakdown? I kind of doubt it. It may be if we get our buyers up here, but to me that's a pretty strong move. So I would look for continuation to the downside. All right, so let's just, you know, we can kind of throw some trend lines in here just to look at some structure, and we are trending down. Look at liquidity. High liquidity on the offer just popped into the order book here. So if there's enough buyers, you know, 56,000 shares here. So let's just read this context here. More liquidity, and what does it do? Okay, I would look for sellers to come in, and again, like we covered yesterday, high liquidity is up here on the offer at 72.5 or 15 cents, and then down here on the bid at 171.50. The middle area would be kind of balance of the order book, right? Somewhere in there, and I would look for sellers to try to come back down into that area. So first area here would probably be somewhere around in here, 170, 185 or so. Okay, we can mark that up. Okay, and that's Apple. Amazon's kind of strange. It just traded into, but the 42.50 and bouncing out of it. Yeah, it's starting to kind of break its trend line and its structure up here. Okay, it could be a false breakout here. If so, what we know what to look for here. A lot of sellers right around here, this 90, well, just below 143. Okay, high liquidity up here at 16, and then also down here around, well, truly down here around 24, 25. Okay, buyers came in. How about Apple? Buyers came in. Wow, buyers came in and took them on. Okay, so this is telling us something. Okay, we found a lot of buyers. All right, well, let's kind of take that to our S&P here, and super choppy in here, but we're starting to find a lot of buyers in some of the tech stocks. Okay, well, what about this liquidity here? I would look for it to transact. Here we go. There's our skew in the order book. Let's see the buyer. There it is again, looking for our buyers, and we're looking for a pop from here on up to 94. And then let's see if we can even get up to 90, our 96 level that we were just shy of before. Okay, looking for it here. This is why correlations are so great. You know, when you look at your correlated markets, you can apply that either way. You know, you look at your stock indexes as well as your individual stocks, and you start to look for some sort of insight here. All right, so let's continue on. Let's look at NVIDIA. How is it doing? Quick look. Okay, it is still trending down. Okay, NVIDIA is a little bit weaker, certainly. And we can jump over to Tesla too, and it's been pretty weak. I know JTrader's been looking at it. Compared to all the rest, it's been pretty weak. So Amazon is the most bullish here, and Apple is looking pretty good too. Okay, might get a breakout here of the trend line, but if we do, the first test would be up to here. And then and balance between it, and maybe up into the 926, and maybe you can reach up into 930 liquidity there. Yeah, maybe Elon is selling. I don't know. I'm not an expert like JTrader on Tesla. Yeah, Lido or Ledo. Yeah, I do look at candlesticks. Okay, so you really want to look at the bonds. We can take a look here, or the notes maybe. Yeah, we'll have to wait for some data. All right, guys, so let's see, how did our stock index here do? How does the still kind of looking for 94 here. That was the next level we kind of left off on. Boy, it's just really choppy. Guys, yesterday, super choppy during this session. And then as soon as that webinar ended around 11:30, we had the very nice trending strong move. Okay, so I hope you guys captured that or saw the order flow in there for that, because we can take a look at the candles. So there was a question about the candles. And so we'll just take a step back here, and then we'll look at our bigger market structure here. Okay, so our daily chart, well, we saw the breakout here. We saw the move up into it here. I thought we'd find a ton of sellers in here. We did not. We found some, and you can see the back and forth in here. We drew this line up Monday, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were looking for the test up into it, and then to see if we would anticipate sellers, maybe a spike up into these wicks here, and then sellers to come in and drive this back down probably to about here. But we popped instead, and we saw nothing but buying here. Okay, so, or a lot of buying, and we're still up here. Now, we covered on Friday that this was a, and here was Friday here. Okay, this strong candle to the upside here. We were looking for we noted it here in the above the 4250 figure here. In fact, if we start to get bearish in here, we would look for the trade at least down to 4250, because as we covered in that heat map webinar, we talked about the amount of traders that got filled on the offer on the way up here. It was massive, right? So we haven't seen any sort of like a bearish move yet. So that's kind of funny, but be looking for that. And the test down to this 4250. Okay, so again, and I think it was Major Tom in there that had asked about this and said that didn't I mention we were bearish due to this? It's like, well, we noted, and this is an important factor. We noted this in here. We noted on the higher time frame, and this is how you can read liquidity on the higher time frame, is that we had a lot of liquidity getting filled on the offer, but we haven't seen yet the sellers, the aggressive sellers, come in. And that's what we're looking for, is when those aggressive sellers come in to move that market. Okay, so we haven't seen that yet, but we do have that one piece of the puzzle so far. Okay, and that is the liquidity getting filled on the way up. Right, so how much more buying pressure is there? That's what we're trying to gauge in here, or trying to understand. And I would look for sellers to try to reach for some of these lower levels in here. Okay, one would be off of this level here at 4281. Okay, this structural area here, it's kind of already tested it here, but even on this time frame, I'd look for that test. Okay, even on the hourly chart here in the middle, I would look for that test. It's not asking for much. And then the next one would be probably about 62, so another 20 points lower down here. We could still be bullish even with that overall look with that move lower, like 40 points lower. The hourly, it would be just basically a pullback. Also the daily would be kind of a pullback and just into some of these ranges in here. So yeah, that's a possible scenario. But now what we want to do is we want to just outline some of these levels in here, and then we want to look at the order flow to support those ideas. Okay, so we're continuing to look in here, and let's take a look at this. So overall, strong move to the upside here for the day, or from the cash session. Okay, but we're making lower highs and lower lows here, and let's just take a look at the volume in here as well. We'll look at the imbalance here. I think that's the way to go. We'll put this within the chart range here and use this imbalance tool. And we use this tool here to zoom for that chart range from here to current market. Okay, now what is the volume imbalance? And it's only negative 0.1. Now if we zoom out a little bit and get rid of maybe some of that opening move in here, now I'm going to be kind of curious what it's going to be here. -3. Okay, so it's not much, but the structure here is something we cannot deny. So let's see if we get our sellers right now and then the move lower. Okay, so yeah, here we go. And let's get back down into this swing here where it rejected and came back into the range, and look for a test back down there. And look at our profile in here as well. This is where we're looking for a lot of selling. Okay, we're looking for selling to drive it away from all of this here. Okay, that is a surefire way to move it away from a value area. And this value area is what we're looking at here in this profile. It's a pretty big value area between kind of 94 and 87. So there's our move, and it is on strong volume. Now it's moved from 87 down to 84. It's about 3 points. This is just kind of the threshold that we look at here. Okay, if it goes further with strong selling in here, then we're looking for continuation. 2 to 3 points, we have a high probability of it doing, it can continue either way basically. A lot of times 3 points, we come back up here and find our buyers and we move back up in the range, and this becomes trap volume in here. So we're watching this in here. So more sellers, I mean, we got to go with the order flow so far, and yeah, we would look for more selling in here and the continuation into 82.5, and then maybe 80 and 78 here. Okay, now our 80-81 level, that was here. Okay, so this is how we're kind of arranging or aligning the order flow on higher time frames with our lower time frames. Okay, now what gave us insight in here to that? Well, it was, we started off with market structure. Okay, here's our move and looking for the continuation now. Okay, it's pretty strong volume and it's still moving, looking for continuation. Okay, 82.5, 80, 78 and 3/4 here. Yeah, I'm looking for the squeeze as well. You can already see it did squeeze here a bit, or you see a stop run here and here. Okay, and icebergs on the other side. So the icebergs are absorbing that. It's about 200 icebergs or so. So it's not a whole lot, but it's not bad. Okay, still staying with the short here, or the down move here. There we go. That was a pullback. There's our 82.5. Looking for our 81 and 80. Up here, the top or left corner of the screen, or top right corner of the screen, that is the imbalance indicator. It's with the global plus version. So what we did is we used this chart range a lot here for many different things, as well as time frames, time slices, etc. But it is showing, we can also show book and volume imbalance here, and we're looking at the volume imbalance. Guys, there's our move, nice continuation, and that was the kind of overall direction we were looking for, and it was based on the order flow. Well, no, let me pose a question. What was it based on first? Let's see, Moss in Discord. Could that sell, or that limit sell liquidity that was filled the other day, be buyers that went long earlier? Yeah, that they could be. Yeah, it very much could be. However, we don't know. It could be both, you know, them getting out as well as getting back in. We don't know. But what we're looking for is something like on the higher time frame. We're looking for this here, this move, right? The move away from an area, and that's what we're looking for. Actually, let's be honest here. What we're looking for is, okay, a move away from this cluster and this area here, and we're getting it right now. Okay, and this was the primary scenario here, and this is where we noticed it was above the 42.50 that we saw on Friday. It just kept climbing here, and it was amazing, like all this liquidity getting filled in here all the way up. And we had a retest here at the open. This is the cash open here, okay, on Monday, and almost down to 42.50. Okay, so now what I'm going to cover here is this area in here. Well, we don't know, right? We just know that there was a lot of limit sell orders getting filled here. Okay, also yesterday, not bad. And we're looking for a test back down into some of these lower levels here. And the overall trade idea, okay, now this is not a trade recommendation. We don't do that in here. We're going to go through different scenarios and then look for order flow to support those scenarios. But a trade idea would be to look for the trade down to this area. Okay, so if you see that momentum starting to come in on the sell side, we're looking for the move back down into our first level, which was here. Okay, and we're seeing a bit of buying come in, and we see a little bit of a wick there right now. I don't know if that view helps us much. Yeah, it doesn't really. So that would be the kind of the first move, and then the second move down to this kind of 64-ish area here, and then down to 42.50. What I wanted to cover though is that looking for this, if that is the concept, that a lot of sellers in here getting filled, ready for the next leg lower, we could also look for the trade back down to that 42.50 level. Okay, that is no different than if, for example, we're looking for, let's just go through some sort of example, maybe on the buy side here. On the buy side, let's suppose that yeah, you'd be looking for maybe a move back up to here, and then see if you can get back up above here, or above where we broke down from just now, somewhere around in here, 87. Okay, but trade back up to 87. So you're kind of, it's a counter trend trade, but you're looking for a potential reversal. Okay, so does that make sense? So I mean, these can be really nice trades because you're already in it, and then you can take some off up here, and you can look for the breakout, a pullback, get in again, and look for continuation. All sorts of different ways to manage it, but that would be the concept. So you'd be trading it to that area. Okay, and that's what we recognized on Friday, that all of that getting filled in here on the higher time frame. Okay, and we would trade back down to this area here. All right, so we'll find another example in there to cover that. Okay, so let's look at Bookmap. The question is about different time frames in here in Bookmap. Colin, you're spot on. That was the answer to the question. Structure. We looked at the structure first, lower highs. Exactly. So thank you on that. That's exactly what we're looking for. Guys, this is one of the most important elements here to look at in the order flow. Okay, and then we're going to look at the transactions and the order book within that to give us, and then also the add-ons. Stops, icebergs, maybe profile, maybe look at Apple or Amazon or whatever it might be, or some sort of other indicator in here to support that idea. So we'll take the volume dots off for a moment, the heat map off for a moment, and look at our structure. And let me get rid of the lines in here for now. Okay. Lower high, lower high, lower, slightly lower, lower, equal, lower low, break. Retest back to kind of where it broke from, continuation. This little area in here is what it can be tricky. Okay, is it a false breakdown? Does it get back up above here, and then you see buyers come in, and then back up into maybe this area, right? When we look for heavy liquidity on the offer here, or maybe none, but no buying in here. Very, very little buying. And then we're looking for selling to come in and drive it back down to here for the first move. Now that's actually what is very similar to what we were just talking about on the higher time frame, that move down to 42.50. This is the same idea. Okay, so we're looking for this pullback, a move back down here, take some off, hold. Okay, so we're just looking for the move down to here if there's sellers here. So let's add the volume dots. We'll keep the drawings on there for a moment. Okay, and yeah, that kind of suits us pretty well here. Selling, not much buying. Selling, a little more buying, but they didn't really break the structure here. And the selling, you can look for the selling back down to here and then hold and look for the continuation. Okay, and look at the retest back to this area here, and then buyers coming right back to retest it again now. Okay, and then they may break this, and we might come back up into here. Okay, but we're going to go with the trend until we see something different. Okay, and that something different might be unfolding here. I mean, the buying is starting to pick up. Okay, also kind of a higher low in here and a slightly higher high in here. We've been covering this for years, right? Market structure is imperative. And now we're looking for the order flow within it. Okay, buying's pretty strong. Okay, can they come up into this area here? Well, we're just about there. Yeah, it's pretty strong. Okay, this is where that selling began though. And let's look at the bigger picture now. Look at the selling, look at the size of the dots here compared to these in here. This is pretty good buying. It's starting to pick up a bit. Do they have enough though to break all of this selling in here? Okay, so this is really the kind of acid test right here. Sometimes it takes very little volume to get up here, but then is big volume up here to trade it back up into the range. Okay, so this is the order flow read here with the volume. Okay, and let's add the order book in here as well. Okay, and there's high liquidity in here that got filled, so that's looking pretty good for the sellers, right? So if we get some selling in here, which we're not, and then we'd be looking for the move back down to about here to begin with, 84, 82.5, and then back down into these lows here. Yeah, so Uriel, regarding the different time frames, I mean, I don't really use it that way for, you know, I understand that this is the 9:30 cash open. Okay, so, and I know this is all pre-market, and that's about it. And now I want to understand the nuances in here. I know this is 10:30. You know, I'm always looking at the timeline down here. Okay, and I know this is a half hour. That's about it though. And I'm always just zooming in and out really quickly. Bookmap handles that very well, that zoom. So you know, and then starting to understand the order flow within the key levels that we're talking about. So market structure. So I don't need to look at the time frame. I just need to understand the market structure within, like you know, kind of a overall time frame or zone that I'm looking at in here. I mean, this is what's critical is here, right? Not you know, looking at 5 minutes or something. Okay, what's critical to understand, it really is. It's this. versus this. Okay, so this is our critical area. Okay, we were looking for that retest down to here. We got it. To 81 was really the kind of level at least we looked at here on the higher time frame. And then it did go down below it, down to about 78, right? Okay, and then look at the buyers coming right back in. Okay, and sellers, heavy selling right here. And so now let's go through, we can go through, you want to see support and resistance areas. Well, let's just talk more about supply and demand areas. Okay, well, the demand is down here. Okay, and supply is up here above. Okay, well, at least, the passive orders. That's what we're looking at, right? We can zoom out and we can look at these passive orders on a higher time frame. Well, they're on the bid down in these levels here, about 73 or 70. They're on the offer up around 4,300. Also some at 95-ish area, 96-ish area here. And then you can see there's a lot of activity in here, so we need to zoom in a little bit, okay, on a lower time frame and get understanding of the liquidity in here. Right now, it's actually all over the place here. They're on the offer, they're on the bid. So we're not getting too much insight from that at the moment. And I'm curious to see. Now, it's pretty back and forth in here, as you guys can see. This was a nice strong move away, and then here come the buyers back. There's one more last gasp here or area to check, and that is the high volume node of all of this trading in here. Okay, and that would be around here, or we can even put the POC on here and double check. It's actually higher, much higher. Okay, up here. Well, that makes sense. It is a little bit higher. Okay, well, I'm looking at this one anyway. 91.25 as being kind of high volume node. This one's here's another one which we're just kind of testing right now. So it doesn't have to go all the way back to POC. Just a high volume node where there's just a lot of transactions here. We're talking again about value areas. Okay, and we also have our trend line in here, and look at the trend line traders come in on the sell side here. Right in here. Oh, you really want to zoom in and look at 10 points in here. Well, yeah, I mean, we can do that, no problem. We can even bump up the heat map settings if you really want to look at all the details in here, So here you go. Like, see these little areas in here, those nuances in the heat map, we wouldn't see unless we kind of bump up the heat map. Okay, now you'd be really scalping in here, looking at some of this stuff. But you can very successfully do this. Okay, we're kind of in between high liquidity here with a slant to the upside. See, now see the buyers kind of came. Let's see if they transact here. If they do at this 88, we should get the move into 89. 88.25, we should get the move to 89. There it is. Okay, so now we can cover this concept why we thought that would happen, and it's very simple. We weren't transacting up here early, or you can see very little, and then we weren't here. But if we do, we should get the move up into higher liquidity. Okay, and we did. So we were looking for that little quick pop up into there. Okay, and that, what we just covered here, is no different than what we look at on these higher time frames. The same concept, the same idea. Okay, market structure. Boy, even market structure is just being tested again and again in here. This swing here, did it break? It was maybe slightly. So around 42.90. Yeah, just testing now. Okay, I'm going to go back to our default settings here. All right, let's see. A question: what do you? It's hard to kind of decipher. These last several webinars, we were looking for we're always looking for that bigger move and the trending move to unfold and try to get some insight from it. Now we can obviously drill down to lower time frames and see it, but it's always nicer to see it on the higher time frame. We saw this break down, but we're right back in the middle of the range now. But again, recall, like if we can't get buyers back up around this 91-ish level, which will probably turn into the point of control, if we don't get them up here, then sellers, they basically remain in control here, at least by volume profile standards. So then we look for the move back down to kind of, or at least explore down into like 84, 85, something like that. Because we broke down the structure here, and we've retested back to the high volume node more or less. Okay, so if it can accept up here back in value area, we're looking for those sellers to drive it away again. Okay, at least back down and at least kind of test the lower areas here. It doesn't have to test all the way down here, but at least test down to here, kind of 84 to 85 level. And again, I mean, that's another potential trade opportunity. Okay, based on that concept. And now let's look at the order flow. Now, order flow wise, I don't like it. I mean, this did transact up here. That's good. We are finding some sellers. That's good. We see lower liquidity here on the offer and then on the bid. Okay, a bit of a pullback. All right, well then, if that's what you're going for. Now, I don't see it really in the order flow. There's not too much in the order flow here, but just structurally, then this would be your sell. Okay, now that's not a trade recommendation. We're just going over structure here. Okay, but just trying to make sense of it. If we take the volume dots off, and we can even take the heat map off and talk about the structure. So now see how that did turn into point of control now? Okay, so the developing point of control is now, it turned down to 88. Okay, well then we got to see sellers move it away from that 88 level here. And it actually got above the developing point of control up here. So if you're bearish, then like again, this would be your kind of pullback area, and then looking for, well, first down to the bottom of the range, 86.5, and then down into these lower levels here, or well, at bottom of this kind of profile in here, 84, 84, 85. See how this kind of changes the dynamic a bit here with that new point of control. All right, let's see if we get our sellers in here to drive it away. And let's look at the heat map too. NQ was easier. Yeah, probably. Looking for our sellers here, right on this bottom of this kind of range here, and then looking for them to extend it, right? And you know, we're back to point of control here. Buyers took it right back. Not above it though, not above it. Still below it. Okay, if we auction down here, we'd be looking for the move. Here we go. Now let's see it, sellers. And let's see you trap these buyers, and let's see the move maybe down into our kind of 85 level here. Liquidity is down at 84 3/4. And you can see it's moving pretty quickly, where you get these quick jabs like that. Now they pulled here at that 84 3/4. Okay, this is actually playing out pretty nicely as an example of exactly this concept we're talking about. Okay, there's our move into 85. Right, but it's, and I just want to get that point across about the concept. Any questions on that? Is that clear of what we just kind of covered on this move? That structurally it was being tested, this swing here, and they actually did get above it. Buyers did get above it. Okay, but you know, now we're looking for that move, you know, kind of bottom. Now it's coming down further, back down into here, and then I would anticipate some buyers down here, and to move it back probably to point of control, or at least back up to about 86.5 or 87 here. And they're already doing it, but you know, we're looking for a pullback here, and these buyers are going to test it back up into here. Is there any more buyers interested? Okay, can buyers bring it back up above 88? That's going to be a big question here. Okay, and again, you know, if you're looking for that, it's pretty thin down here in the profile. If you're looking for that, you can trade it back up to the point of control, or at least the bottom of the structure in here. As you can see, there's just so many different trade ideas in here. And you know, this is where it comes down to what you've studied, what edge you have. We'll have some workshops on that. Oh, you want to look at ZN? Okay. You've been very consistent with that. We can take a look at the notes here. But let me just cover this here, because we're talking about different trade ideas in here, and there are many. However, what matters the most is that you have an edge. We'll have Jay Trader tomorrow, where he knows he has an edge on his setups. He's studied them to the nth degree for years. He has data on them. He knows exactly what he's looking for, and he's trading it. If it doesn't go his way, what does he do? He cuts the trade, he looks for the next one, and he doesn't let it bother him. He knows that it's going to work out. One of them is going to work out, or maybe he'll have a few losing trades, or maybe even a losing day, but on the overall, he knows he has an edge. Okay, so that's what's really important to create. What we're talking about is many different ideas in here, and we're just reading the order flow. And that's why this isn't a trade room here. Okay, so here's that move right back to point of control. All right, let's take a look at those bonds or notes. And no questions in Discord. Let me know, guys. I do like the correlations here I mean, looking at the interest rate products. I think it's fantastic. These are super deep markets, as you can see. You know, let's just look at best bid and offer. Well, you know, here's 200, 300. That's more than the S&P has, like, you know, many ticks away. One tick further, we have like 1,200, 1,400. So, you know, lots and lots of liquidity in here. Not seeing much right now. I mean, nice move to the downside. It's still bearish structurally. So yeah, I'm not really what else to tell you. That's all I see right now. The coloration or correlation between S&P. Okay, correlation between S&P and NVDA. Okay, well, it might be better to do a correlation between that and NASDAQ, but S&P can work as well. All right, well, let's just zoom out here, or a little bit. Yeah, even though we kind of came back in the range here, we're still negative here, or looking for more selling, just due to the market structure. NVIDIA looks pretty similar, a little more bullish. You can see it came back up here and traded above it a bit. Okay, now back down into this area here. Buyers starting to show up here around this 86 and 85. Is it 25 or 86.25? Yeah, 30, 86.30. Not seeing much. Okay, it looks like they're going to go for that 86.30 liquidity. And it is transacting. Okay, and more sellers. All right, let's see them get down to 86. And let's look at our S&P. Okay, it's still kind of holding higher here. Boy, pretty boring session, to be honest. At least we're covering some good stuff, I think. Lots of different trade ideas. But again, we didn't really see anything special here in the order flow. Guys, if you like this video, yeah, give us a thumbs up there. Give us a like. We're trying to we gauge that, we look for that, and we're looking for you know, what is it you guys like? What is it that you know, resonates, and try to meet whatever it is that you know, you need. Trying to add in different stocks, you know, not just the S&P, trying to add in you know, different ways of trading, different methodologies, etc. Thanks, Daniel. Jay, you love what I'm doing with the S&P. Okay, that's great. Trying to keep it really simple here, and you know, just looking at very simple structure. Okay, we've been doing it for years, but just keeping it simple is the best way. And now what we can talk about, though, like the market structure, you know, what the way the education, our educational course is developed here is off of the market mechanics and microstructure. The understanding just the smallest minute binary trade in here. And I'm convinced that all of this is the same on this time frame as it is on this time frame here on the daily or even the monthly chart. It is the same stuff. There's just a lot more data and information in here. Okay, but the same things are unfolding here at these very, very low time frames. Okay, back up to a range here, back up above, looking for buyers up here. If we get buyers up here, we'll get the pop into 89. This might, there they go, looking for 90. Okay, let's see if we can get to 90 here. Okay, or is this going to be a false breakout? I don't know. I'm going with the buyers here. They're pulling here. They're adding on the bid a little bit. There they go. Now let's get more buyers in here. And let's get up into 90. Now see how this, and we're at point of control here. This little micro move here can turn into a much bigger move. Do we get buyers up? Yes, we did. Okay, great. We should get the move to 90 here. We'd be looking for it. That would be the primary scenario. Okay, there it is. Boom, you cover. A low time frame, a small target, right? Higher time frame, a bigger target. Okay, so this would be a pullback. Maybe you're a pullback trader on the higher time frame. You get in down here, then you'd be looking for the move back up to the swing here. The swing here is no different than what we were kind of looking at this swing on the lower time frame. And then we're looking for the auction here on the offer, looking for buyers to lift it, and they did. Okay, so this here is encapsulated on the much higher time frames. Right? Pretty simple stuff. It's understanding what makes the market move in here, and this gave us some insight. There was a skew here on the bid here, on the offer they're pulling. It started auction here by buyers, and we're looking for the move to 90. And that was it. Okay, now you can see the battle unfold here at the point of control. We're below, and then we cover this as well on the higher time frame. We're looking for that move up into here. Now look at them pull it away from there, and this could be trap volume in here. And then we're looking for sellers now. Okay, and we're not getting anything like it. So buyers are coming right back in. Looks like buyers are they're going to hold it. So looking for, again, 90 here. Let's see if we can get it. I don't see anything on the bid here, though. I'd love to see that. So this is less probable. Okay. Okay, but yeah, 90, and then now if we get 90 and then that skew in the auction here, I'd love to see these guys at 90.5 pull that liquidity, and they're not. And then maybe we can get higher because we're above that point of control now. Now we want to see if buyers can move it away from it. Okay, now that we're above it, we're looking for it. Now again, it's pretty dark here, so sellers can come right in and move it right back down here. So it's basically top of the range, and we got to go with the flow. I mean, the aggressors are still they're auctioning up there, so looking for it to go higher, but we just don't have all the pieces here. It's just not as high probability. And there we go. There we go. Nice. Now they've kind of flipped on 90 here. See the flip of the order book from offer to bid. Guys, if you can understand these moves here on these very low time frames, and that's what these webinars are for, then this can be extrapolated to the higher time frames. Okay, there we go. Look at the skew on the bid there. Okay, I'm finding buyers. Buyers are moving it away, looking for 95 or 96 level. We talked about that early on in the webinar. This is strong buying now. Okay, let's see if they looking for buyers to test it up to here. 95 is a good area. 96 a little less likely, but the swing is up here, and this is strong buying. So I am looking for them to move it and test up into here. So 95 first, 96 second, and then maybe even like 4,300, the figure up here. Okay, strong buying. See the distinction? Moving it away from point of control here. Okay, we saw it on the low time frame, and now we're extrapolating it to the higher time frame. Okay, we're at 95 already. Look at the bid, finding buyers, still looking for higher. All right, let's see. Ryan, thank you. Yeah, guys, see how like these moves are so much easier to read, because this is the scenario we're looking for. Up into here. Okay, it just got up there. Did it trade? Didn't trade 96s yet. Okay, but this is one of the reasons why I like to take off some of my size up here, front running it, because boy, how many times have I seen it? It comes back up into here. It will transact just shy of it, and then come all the way back down and retest where it came from. Right, and I'm just a few ticks away. It turns my stomach. It's not for me. I like to get out a little bit early. Okay, sometimes I kick myself, but overall, it's what I like. You guys will have to find out what works best for you. It's not a cop out. Not trying to be that always front run or we don't know if it's going to go higher or not, but we can take some off here at a higher probability area, and it fits my style. Maybe it'll fit yours, maybe it doesn't. Okay, so let's see here. Oh boy, a question was last two highs rejected from the EV WAP. Are you still watching it as possible? Yeah, so well, here we go, right? Yeah, this is strong here. Okay, this is the strong move we're looking for. And see how you can trade. This is what we're talking about earlier as well, as a trade idea, not a recommendation, but a trade idea, to trade it to the edge here. Okay, to just in front of 96. Okay, because of the market structure. And then see. You know, are you still bullish? Are you looking for a pullback? Okay, they're on the bid here. Do we see sellers traded back into the range? Not yet. Okay, did they get filled on the way up? Yeah, they're getting filled in here. This is going to be a microcosm of maybe what we saw on Friday. If they're getting filled up in here, and now we need to see a lot get filled, right? And then you'll see kind of a shift in the order flow here. Okay, look, sellers starting to come in on the offer. Okay, lack of buying. Okay, now we don't know yet. It's just way too tight of a range here, but we're looking for sellers here, lack of buying here. Now the auction in here. Now this is micro composite when we look at these low time frames. Okay, when we start to refer to micro composite as some of these little areas in here, it's not really true. You know, if you want to be fastidious about your definitions. Okay, so yeah, and now in this auction here, see how there's buyers above it now. Great. Okay, well now we're looking for 99 and 4,300, but in this auction in here, we're trying to read it. Look at the profile. Okay, in the middle here, what about the edges? Okay, and again, it doesn't have to be a profile. We don't need to have a profile to understand this. We're looking at the edges. Where is it auctioning? What's the liquidity look like? Okay, what's the reaction to that liquidity? Okay, well, the reaction to that liquidity that came in here is it was muted. There wasn't, you know, it went down a little bit here and auctioned a little bit down here. Okay, and we'd be looking for it to auction our lack of trading here, and then sellers here, and then if we got more sellers here at 96.5, we would likely break it back down lower. Okay, we didn't. We got the opposite scenario here. It started to auction up here, okay, where it's very thinly traded at the moment, okay, in this very small time frame, but then it starts to trade. Okay, great. We see even more here. We're looking for a raise up into here and here, okay, because that's where the liquidity is. Now there's another thing to look at in here, okay, and for you guys that love your measured moves, we look for the same measured move. And let's just kind of cheat it a little bit. Okay, and that's why I draw up these boxes here. Okay, we're looking for the move. Okay, so maybe it won't make it to 99, but we'd be looking for a test of this 98.50. Okay, and it did that and then some. Okay, it's traded to the figure already. Okay, now we saw that move unfold, and why as well. And we also knew that this is really strong buying here. This is exactly what we look for, right? So, you know, look, we talked about it a million times, like, and I kind of hate to say that, but when we find the strong move, take some off at the top of the range as just kind of a safety. Okay, but we're still in it, and we're still looking for the continuation here. Okay, because we know that this is the strong move away from the value area. It's kind of establishing a value area. This is typically how that unfolds. Precisely like this. This is very, very typical. It is the strong volume moving it away from that area. Okay. There's many different scenarios to look at also in this move. It doesn't have to be strong from the very bottom here. Maybe it just kind of trickles on up into the top of the range, and then you get the strong volume. Okay, but you're looking for the strong volume commitment here. Okay, and that is the typical move. Okay, so anyway, look for it again and again. All right, so anyway, you're up at 4,300, the figure just above it. Now we need to look here today at the ranges. So let's go back here. Now, our primary scenario was looking for sellers in here to drive it down to 81. And then the next level would have been down here at 64. And then, trade on down into 42.50. Well, we saw an order flow change in here. And it was a bounce off of our range here. And that's why we looked at the range first. So we set around 82 or 81 as being the first area for sellers to try to trade it down to. Okay, so we got that. And then we're watching the order flow in here. Okay, and just kind of recapping now. We're watching the order flow in here. We talked about market structure quite a bit. Okay, looking for that move lower. Look at the sellers come in. They did. And then we're looking for, well, we saw the buying starting to come back in. And we're looking for back to here. Back to this kind of 85, 86 level. Or even the swing here. It came up a bit higher. And then, let's see, back up to this swing here, back in the middle of the range. That's when we had our, started to draw in, looking at structure again, higher lows or lower highs, lower lows, etc. Okay, well, still, it tested above it here, just slightly. Pretty strong volume on the buy side, but it has not proven itself. It just tested up here. Okay, and it pulled all the way back down here. Okay, but we were really watching it in here closely. We were watching this volume node in here before it turned into the point of control. Okay, and again, like this is why, like, just understand the concepts in here. Even if you're looking at your volume profile, or point of control, or return back to value, because what you're looking for is it's just kind of an area in general. This was already pretty developed. It was pretty close to being point of control. So we're looking for the move back to that, and we kind of marked it up, and then we were looking to see if, like, was it going to be above it or below it, and then it turned into point of control. I got rid of the line in here, but I forget where it was, but were they trading above it, were they trading below it, etc., trying to drive it away. And then we saw this auction in the very small time frame, right in here. Okay, for that small pop. And then we saw this one in here, and we mentioned that these small things can turn into big ones, and this one did. And that's when you want to really, you don't want to miss those. You want to look for that, and this distinction in here is precisely what we're looking for. Okay, is that clear? Do you guys is there any questions on that, understanding this move here, this volume in here? We didn't even get a pullback in here. Not really. It's pulling back now, but very slight in here. It just kept going. And this is why, like, part of the way that I like to trade is I like to look for these, get in on them and ride it. Take some off and try to hold it, instead of looking for the retest back down here. It's just it's something that just drives me nuts. So I have to tailor my trade management for that. Whereas other traders, like, they're not in it. They look for the pullback, then they get in. Right? Whereas I would be looking for top of the range in some of these areas, take some off. And then if it's a pullback and it gives me another opportunity, get back in and look for the continuation. Let's see, Kevin, for profit taking goals, are you looking for hard take profit like 50 cents? No, I'm looking at ranges. Key levels. Yeah, and it doesn't matter on what time frame. So yeah, that answers that question. You want to take a look at Bitcoin quickly? Sure. Okay, this is Bitcoin futures from Binance Futures. Is USDT tether. Here's the move lower. Boy, it's not showing that strength at all. This is that little pop in here, and it is above this kind of area in here, but it's not much to speak of here. Oh, FSR, okay. DX feed, FSR. Oh yeah, Fisker. This is the guy who tried to rip off Tesla, right? The car manufacturer. Do I have that right? It's been some years. He was a designer. Not seeing much in here. I don't have a lot of data in here either. You can look at it a little bit more. Okay, yeah, that is correct, Orion. I'm surprised they're still in business. I didn't know if I haven't seen too many Fisker cars out there. All right, well, yeah, is sellers certainly in control. See this area here at it happens to be $9, but look at the sellers trade into and through, and then here's our retest. Same concepts. Retest, and then looking for our sellers to come in. Let's just make our volume dots bigger. Yeah, here's our retest. Here's where the sellers came in, and we can look at this, auction in this range in here again, and try to, kind of a review of what we were just covering on that low time frame. Okay, well, not too many buyers, not too many sellers in here, not getting too much out of it. Okay, but once we start to auction down here, the sellers, and you can see lower highs in here and also no trading in here. Boom, sellers, a little bit more, boom, looking for 890 or bottom of the range here, but I would go with 890 and then look to hold down to next levels, 85 and then 880. Right, same concepts. Okay, so that's a good review of what we're talking about. And yeah, so all right, let's kind of recap here. So very choppy, looking for the move down on the higher time frame. Okay, and we're still looking for that potential move on the higher time frame down to the 42.50. Okay, but we're just keeping that in the back of our minds until we see that selling come in. As you guys can see, there's a pretty big stop run to the upside from about 500 on up to about 2,500. Pretty big. And look at the buying in here. Consistent and strong, and a strong move. These are easy moves, I think. Once we start to see that, you look to jump in on that and ride it, and look for that distinction. Yeah, there you go. So this is one way to look at the order flow, and we talked about it in detail about all of this in here, and then getting and moving away from it, and then continuation. All right, yeah, so yeah, we talked about value areas. We talked basically, though, again, I don't want to veer or talk too much about volume profile. What I really like about the volume profile is the understanding of the value, these areas in here where and we looked right at it here around that 88 level, and point of control is still there. Okay, so and then that was a good discussion about this area in here. And then who's going to take control? We look for a retest to it and then the continuation to the downside typically, but we started to read it in here and we saw the buyers come in. We're looking for that move back up into here, and it's still going. Okay, it's still going higher here, and there's nothing really in here to tell us anything differently. Okay, yeah, there's some selling came in here, but they're on the bid, and we rotate back up. We get our buyers again, same idea, same concepts in here. See them come in here above this swing, see them come in up above this swing. Here's your pullback trade right here, and then look for a move back up to the top of the range at 02, and then try to hold for a continuation is one way to look at this. All right, okay, and all right, well, any just one more last question here. Yeah, if you guys can hit the like button, that would be much appreciated. Is this the kind of session you're looking for? Okay, is there something else that you'd like us to cover? Like, what would you rather see? Would you rather see more on volume profile, more on price structure, more on stocks? Okay, or maybe there's something else. Maybe that microstructural or kind of, that's originally our education was that we went on those very low time frames and extrapolated to the higher time frames, and that was the concept. I'm a firm believer in it. It's the same stuff over and again, over and over. So we look for it. Let's see. You're having trouble with your POC line, Rob. Look for, see if you have any, you have any resets in there. That's probably what's causing the issue. And so right click in here and then go to your reset area here, and then go to configure or reset configurations and make sure you have nothing checked in here. Okay, or maybe you have it checked for the session start. Okay, which you will have to define, by clicking here. Okay, so anyway, another thing you can do, Rob, to overcome that is you can right click in here, duplicate the column, and then do one with a reset and one without. All right, so because you can have multiple points of control in here because it's column based, and you can have multiple columns. Okay, so maybe test it that way. Okay, thanks. I'm so bad. So no additional requests at this time, but you'll think about it. Okay. Hero indicator. Okay, you guys are options traders looking for more of that. Yeah, we'll have Doug. I'm actually going to reach out to you shortly, and we're going to have an options pro trader webinar series in mid-September, so look forward to that. We'll have Brent Kachuba, hopefully. I hope he's around. I got to reach out to him, and we'll have a whole session on options. That's the goal, at least at this time. Okay, Doug, excellent. All right, guys. Well, yeah, thanks for coming, everybody, and we will catch up with you tomorrow with J Trader at 10 a.m. Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye bye.